Toilets down this corridor, yeah? On the right. Yeah, Martin, straight in, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. From Ponds Forge in Sheffield, it's qualifying for the Cazoo UK Championship, one of snooker's biggest events. This is round 2 of 4, and it's a match, a real interesting clash of styles between Tepchara Nu, the Speed King from Thailand, and the man they call the Minister of Defence, Martin O'Donnell. Very tough competitor. And thank you for joining us. We're going to be here for the next 4 days with live commentary from these qualifiers. We've got Oliver Lyons, Marco Fu this afternoon for you on table 1, and tonight a really interesting one, Stephen Maguire and Jimmy White. But we start with Tepchara Nu and Martin O'Donnell. It's best of 11. Quite an early start, I think 9:30 for these snooker players, but let's see how this match pans out. It's Tepchara's first match. O'Donnell beat Ben Mertens, the young Belgian player, 6-4 the other day. Now, he's not happy already, is he? There's something on the table just delaying him. Not much delays Tepchara, but there's something buzzing around. Tatiana Wollaston is going to sort it out. There we go. Well, I'm not sure. You see, she's such a nice lady, Tatiana. She didn't want to just give it the fist like some referees, but anyway, hopefully we can get on with the match. As I say, thank you for joining us, and we will be hopefully getting your comments and questions during the course of these 4 days. You can get in touch on the World Snooker Twitter account at WeAreWST. That's at WeAreWST. I'm Dave Hendon. You can tweet me at Dave Hendon. I'm joined by Stephen Hallworth, who will introduce himself and his Twitter handle.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Really looking forward to the action here at Ponds Forge. And yeah, if you've got any questions or comments you want to fire into us while we're watching the action, feel free to. I'm at Stephen Hallworth on Twitter and on Facebook. But yeah, like you say, Dave, 2 really contrasting styles of play here. Tepchara known for his fluency, his heavy scoring, and that man in vision there, the Ministry of Defence, certainly knows how to tie things up should he need to, so be an interesting one, this.
Yeah, not the best start for O'Donnell. He has had a match here already, as I said. Tepchara is so fast, and he's capable of just reeling frames off very quickly, and that negates really the speed of his opponent, because when he's at the table he can do the damage himself. Always enjoy watching him. Of course, he won the shootout back in 2019.
8.
And he made a big century in that. No problem with the shot clock at all. It's like it didn't exist. But that's an unexpected miss just when he was looking to settle into the match. It's a new format, we should say, the UK Championship. It mirrors the World Championship format. So the top 16 are seeded to the Barbican in York. That starts Saturday. So this week's about getting 16 qualifiers to take them on. There'll be a draw on Thursday.
1.
O'Donnell is one of those players who is certainly good enough to be on the tour, but has slipped off. He only won 8 matches last season, but
8.
Got a chance to return. He won the second Q Tour event. It's a route back on. So away from the main tour, he's found a bit of success of late.
Yeah, and that's how he earned his place in this tournament, the Q Tour win in Brighton. Like you say, he's still a really good player and playing some good stuff on the amateur circuit. I've been watching him in tournaments and he has been playing really well, so he'll definitely fancy the job this week. And it's a little bit of a different pressure as well for, you know, the guys that are playing as sort of top-up players for the pro event. No real... Obviously there's pressure out there, we all experience that, but you find you can just throw your arm at a few more than perhaps on the tour. You know, you get the prize money and the ranking points, but the guys on the tour are fighting for that and for those end of season positions, whereas the top-ups can have a bit of a free roll at events, and you tend to find they enjoy it a lot more, and it's no surprise when you see the success.
Well, it was this event last year, wasn't it, when Sean Murphy
17.
sparked a bit of a debate about amateurs in the pro events. The problem is you don't see Martin as an amateur. He's not on the main tour. What he is a former professional and really, really good. He's not some sort of plucky plumber who's turned up with his cue to have a go. And Tepchaya, well, he missed that red earlier on. Let's see. Of course, O'Donnell's got to get these reds into play.
Yeah, he's hit that nice as well. Always difficult
24.
going into the pack, top side of the black, and having to top it in off the cushion and create that arc. Hit the pack nice though. Left hand side as we look at it to open some reds. So another good positional shot here, and
25.
this is a pretty decent chance for Martin.
Yeah, and it's only 4 years since he got to the quarterfinals of the UK Championship. 2018, he beat Ding, who of course he could play again in the next round. Lost to Ronnie O'Sullivan, but he was in a really golden spell at that point. He got up to 32 in the world. And of course looking to make this break
32.
off the back of that surprising miss from Tepchaya and Nu.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a theme of Tepchaya for the player he is and the amount of talent that he possesses. You know, he's probably one of the, if not the most naturally gifted player
33.
we've got on the tour. He does tend to throw in the odd miss, which is really unsurprising for for the viewers and no doubt for himself. And I think that's going to be key for Martin. He really needs to capitalise on any mistakes that Tepchaya is going to make today, because you never quite know what you're going to get. He can score super heavy and reel off frames, like you say, in no time. So Martin just needs to mind his work and go about his business.
Just to say, we will later on have a
38.
competition question for you. You can win signed UK Championship programme signed by many of the top players who'll be playing in York. And as I say, we do encourage any questions or observations, maybe memories of the UK Championship people have. This event has got a great history, first held 1977. So do get in contact. As I say, the main Twitter handle will be the World Snooker one, @WeAreWST.
Just misjudged the line there off the cushion, Martin, for positional side. He tried to come around the back of the black, but cannoned it and left himself in a little bit of an awkward position now, so just weighing up his options. The black does pass the pack and the pink to pot up into the left corner pocket, and he can play it in such a way to leave a shot of the red to left middle. But never
Martin
really
O'Donnell,
threatened the pocket,
39.
so he'll be disappointed with that, but he's built a small lead, which in these early exchanges might prove to be a good one.
Tepchaya last year, of course, it's a different format, but round one he drew Stephen Hendry, the 5 times UK champion. He made 5 centuries in that match, Tepchaya. It was extraordinary. So that's what he's capable of against, you know, one of the all-time great break builders. But against Hendry, of course, it would have been a very open game, and it'd be interesting to see O'Donnell's approach. He tried to obviously make a frame-winning break there, but he is capable, of course, of maybe negating some of Tepchaya's more attacking instincts. Just saw Marcel Eckhart, who I believe is marking this match, and of course he was refereeing last night in Bolton, the champion of champions. So what a trooper! He's here 9:30 in the morning, ready for another day.
Well, similar to yourself and Phil. Soon shot up from Bolton last night. Back for the action again. Just can't get enough, can you?
It would seem not. This is always a great event. Obviously this is the qualifying, but the whole UK Championship has a very fond place in the hearts of all snooker fans. Of course, Xiao Xing Tong will be defending his title. And there could be some very tough qualifiers coming through. We've got, of course, Ding, as I say, 3 times champion, he's involved. And we've got Stephen Maguire this evening, Ali Carter, Ricky Walden, Hussein Vafai, all these players we've seen plenty of in recent times.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how much of a difference it makes at the final stages of the event at the Barbican. Like 16 players have come through, having won a couple of matches at least. So they'll obviously be feeling match sharp, but contrast to that, the guys in the top 16 that are through to the venue, they'll be refreshed and ready to play. So it'll be interesting to see how those first rounds at York unfold.
Well, very thin one, wasn't it, he attempted. And I think we will see that. I think Tepchai will go on the attack because that's his game. Always interesting, I think, when you get this sort of clash of styles, and it's testing away for both players. You always think the faster player is kind of under it more, playing a slower player, but it can work the other way. I always remember watching players play Tony Drago, and Tony, probably the fastest player ever, and that they might miss a ball, they're on their way back to the seat, they turn around, suddenly he's already played, and they're not quite sure what's going on. It's my turn again.
Yeah, you're right, and I think it'll be a test for Tepchai in terms of his rhythm. He's very fluent around the table, and you might find that he's sat in his chair for a little bit longer than he probably usually would. Martin doesn't rush. He goes about his business at his own pace. And Tepchai's just got to focus on his own rhythm and not get dragged into it. We all know that.
Well, on the average shot times, which World Snooker Tour now publish, he's second for this season behind, you guessed it, Ronnie O'Sullivan. 17.41 seconds. Not much to go on for O'Donnell because, of course, he's not actually on the tour. So really we've only got that match that he played against Ben Mertens to go on. But he's going to be clearly lower down the list than that. He's actually not listed on the list because he's not on the tour, so we don't have stats for him. But Tepchai, no surprise to see him up in the top 2. All right, tables here, and interesting matches. Mark King was a very established player up against Oliver Brown. Zhang Anda against Dylan Emery is an interesting one. As Tepchai tries to get back in, it's a big shot that really, because he was always going to be leaving something, you would feel. So let's see if O'Donnell, who's already 31 in front, can now win this frame. The reds are all in play.
Yeah, Martin played a containing safety shot there, knowing full well he was going to be leaving that red to middle, and almost took a bit of a punt, but Tepchai was definitely going to take that red on.
1.
Should he miss it, he'd be presented with a chance for himself. So just playing the percentages early on, just seeing how Tepchai has gone about his business so far. And now Martin already with a 32-point lead and counting. This is a great chance to take this opening frame and settle himself right into the match.
7. Eight. 11. 12.
Just lost ideal position here. He's in that position where he's not that far from clinching the frame, but there's still a little bit of work to do.
Brown ball.
So suddenly he's nominated brown here. No thoughts of potting it, just putting it safe with the lead he's got. So there's maybe the difference. You know, maybe Tepchai would have taken something on there, but O'Donnell just playing to the scoreboard, playing the percentages.
Yeah, and that's something we can expect from Martin. He never takes anything on that is a daft shot, like you say. He always plays the percentages and doesn't mind waiting it out, and hoping a better chance can come along.
We saw the ultimate percentage match thing at the Champion of Champions last week. John Higgins, Mark Selby. I mean, two formidable players and wary of one another's abilities. It was a wonderful match, that. Some high breaks, with a couple of 140s in it actually, but some of the safety play was extraordinary. Just the cleverness and the knowledge between them and the ability to play the shots. Of course, they are two multi-UK champions, Higgins and Selby. Now there's a red saved by the brown, so that helps O'Donnell as well. He's just trying to sort of close this frame down, isn't he?
Just coming round to have a look at the area in balk. He could possibly leave the cue ball. Doesn't want to leave Tepchai any view of the red next to the brown, because he might find himself in a bit of trouble if he does. So just needs to be careful here.
David Lilly, former world amateur champion, has won the first frame against David Grace. Tepchai just free in that red, as I say, was saved by the brown. He's also got the snooker, so it's all to the good for him. Yeah, there's 8 tables here. You can watch tables 1 to 4 on Discovery Plus, and here on the World Snooker Tour YouTube and Facebook pages, table 1 will have commentary, and on Wednesday and Thursday we have the Judgment Day coverage, so Rob Walker and Ken Doherty will be here as well to guide us through the final round of qualifying.
1.
Well, he didn't quite get the snooker actually, so another chance for O'Donnell.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent shot as well. Judged the cannon to perfection. There was a little bit awkward
3.
those two reds. We feel now he's brought them both into play. That's going to be the end of this first frame.
4.
Yeah, it's a frame where Tepchar had the very first chance, but just didn't make too much from it, just 8. And ever since then, really, you feel O'Donnell has controlled things. Tepchar's been trying to get in, but it's a frame that's favoured Martin O'Donnell for sure. He's a very tough player to draw in your first match, which it is for Tepchar and Nu.
9.
Because even though he's not on the tour, Tepchar will be aware how tough he is. They played a couple of times actually already, 1 each on the head-to-head. O'Donnell's win was in a decider in the qualifiers
10.
for the China Open in 2017. Three snookers needed here.
Yellow ball. Twelve. Thirteen.
So overall he's played a pretty solid frame. Oh, there's that fly. It's on the table actually, just minding its own business. It's come back to enjoy the snooker. As I say, there's some referees who would have been a little bit harsher than Tatiana with it. Nice little cross double to continue the break. Just trying to get as much table time as possible and just make Tepchar and Nu wait for frame 2 as well.
Yeah, it's been a steady start this for Martin. He looks composed, he looks in the zone. He's definitely up for this game today.
23.
And he's potted what he's needed to so far in this opening frame, so a good start.
25.
Yeah, I think now the temperature's dropped outside, that fly's found a bit of comfort on the nice warm bed of the snooker table.
Well, we'll see how comfortable it is in a few minutes' time. Martin O'Donnell looking pretty comfortable.
25.
He's won the first frame of the day here in the second of 4 qualifying rounds for the UK Snooker Championship. So off and running, O'Donnell leading 1-0. Remember, it's best of 11. As I say, you can contact us all day for questions, queries, comments. We've had one actually, Stephen, that you can help with here. Andrew Sage. He said, thank you, Andrew, for getting in contact. He said, I've just got back playing snooker after years of not picking a cue up. My standard has dropped as expected, but have you got any tips on routines to get my game back to scratch, please? He said, I played at Pro-Ams and also played English billiards, so he's been away from the snooker and he's trying to pick his game up again. What would you suggest?
Yeah, it's a tough one, really. Like, he's obviously played and had experience of playing, but will obviously be a little bit rusty, so just start by getting back into the rhythm of things, focus on your cue action, try and get that ball striking back to somewhere you feel comfortable with, and then little exercises. You know, the lineup's a basic routine that probably every player does, but set yourself targets. Always try and better your targets, so you're not just going to practice and hitting balls, going through the motions. Try and make it as productive as possible. You know, there's the lineups, there's little tee lineups or daft little exercises like just putting the yellow, green and brown on the spots and just trying to accumulate breaks with those 3 colours and respotting them and try and build and beat your high scores. Just little cue ball control exercises just to get you back into the swing of things.
So it's kind of back to basics, I suppose. Try and get used
The
to
second frame.
playing
Martin
those
O'Donnell.
more straightforward shots again. And let us know, Andrew, how you get on, because it's great that you come back to the game as Martin O'Donnell gets frame 2 underway. If you do want to contact us, as Andrew has, you can tweet either myself or Stephen. But also World Snooker. I've started a thread actually on Twitter, so if you go to the World Snooker Twitter page, which is @WeAreWST, that's @WeAreWST, there's a thread there. You can send us any queries and we'll do our best to pick them out. It's a classic Tepchire long red, isn't it? And now this time he got him first in the first frame. This time, having seen O'Donnell start, he wants to hit back, but this is a terrific red. He's one of those players. I mean, he's 59 in the world, Tepchire, but that doesn't matter. You will watch him play because he's just such an exciting talent. He was actually in the top 16 only a couple of years ago. He lost the shootout points, the 50,000 on the 2-year system, and then he did have a bad year. And he went to the World Qualifiers needing to win a match to stay on tour, unbelievably, which he did. In fact, he qualified for Sheffield for the Crucible. I think the only way's up for him. I don't think he's going to fall much lower than 59.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how cutthroat and how rewarding the ranking system is nowadays. You know, you can get on a really good run of events and absolutely fly up the rankings, but at the same time, if you get in a little bit of a rut almost and lose a couple of matches, lose a bit of confidence, it's so easy to fall down the rankings.
15.
You know, look at Martin O'Donnell, who's a good example. Highest 32 in the world, and now he's fighting to get his tour card back. Michael White, another player who's involved in the action here at Ponds Forge in Sheffield. Top 16 player, ranking event winner. Fell off the tour, but now back to playing somewhere near his best, looking at his results so far. So it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter how good you are, if you don't win the matches, you don't get the rewards.
Meanwhile, I think we've seen the difference here. Tepchire, as soon as he could, tried to get the reds open. It's not quite come off as he hoped, but looking to really open the game up. And even here, trying the double, leaving himself on the black. Oh, very close to it. But that's I think the difference in approach. We saw O'Donnell play very much the percentage game, and that was a percentage shot that News played there. But he's trying to really open things up and try and get these frames won, as he did against Hendry last year with big breaks.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people look at sort of Tepchire's style of play and perhaps his shot selection at times, but he doesn't play anything silly. Like, he's played that double there in a way that, should he miss it, and at a pace that, should he miss it, he's going to be covering it with the pack of reds. He was guaranteed to be on the black to keep the break going, so it's not like he's going for daft shots and leaving everything open. There is knowledge behind these shots.
Well, we've had a question from John Hayes on Twitter, which seems pertinent actually to this match. He says, should there be a shot clock? Now, he doesn't say for every event or what the shot clock should be. Of course, we do have one in the shootout, the nature of that tournament. Just wait for this shot.
One.
Yeah, Tepchire back in. So, I mean, listen, some people would like to see play speeded up. I'll give my opinion. I don't think slow play is a massive issue, really, in snooker. Obviously, we know there are players who play more slowly than others, and indeed there was a late finish last night. I think one of the problems with it is in a multi-table situation, if there's sort of bells and whistles going off, it actually might be quite difficult for the players to concentrate. Meanwhile, he's missed that black with the rest. But what do you think, Stephen? I know some players. Sean Murphy's a big advocate of bringing one in.
Yeah, I think I probably have to agree with you, Dave. That I think there's a time and a place for that sort of format. You know, we'd all like to see the big breaks flying in and the quick play, but sometimes the game just dictates, and it's not always easy to play like that. And I can only go off my own experience from playing many times in the snooker shootout, which is obviously the event we do use a shot clock in, and it brings not only a different pressure to the game, but you see no end of careless shots, and it's just different. I don't think in a format like this where it's a Triple Crown event, there's a lot at stake. Yeah, I just don't think a shot clock is the right way forward for this style of snooker.
No, and I also think it's good to have a variation in tempo, different players with different styles. It makes it interesting. It makes it an interesting challenge. And also, you know, coming into this match, Tepchar knows the sort of game Martin O'Donnell plays, so he'll be ready for it. The problem comes if a player who's naturally fast suddenly really slows down unexpectedly. That seems then like a tactic. But a player who's just naturally at this pace, that's the pace they play at, and you know, everyone's different.
I think though what we are starting to see now more of is referees taking a little bit more charge in scenarios
15.
where a player does take perhaps a little bit longer. Sometimes, again, like I say, the balls dictate and you really just can't see an obvious shot, but the referees are getting more involved now, which I think is fantastic. You know, a little sort of tap on the shoulder to say, come on now, you need to make a decision. Leo Scullion against Zhu
16.
Long in the tournament not long ago, Northern Irish Open, I think it was. He just gave him a little reminder after a couple of minutes to say, come on, you need to play a shot now, and I think that's a good thing. It encourages players to get on with things, really, and you know, at the end of the day, it's an entertaining sport. We're contracted to entertain, and we don't want to be creating an environment for crowds to come and watch snooker and leave being bored. You know, we're here to put on a show, and I think that's a good thing.
Green ball.
Well, again, Tepchar had that chance. He was left with that tricky black with the rest. Not quite got involved yet. Regardless of how fast he is or anything else, it's about potting the balls ultimately, and Martin O'Donnell's potted more so far. Yeah, we've had a question
19.
actually in terms of O'Donnell. Obviously, he's not a top up here. He's qualified through the Q Tour to get in the event because there's 16 places for players not on the tour. And David Finley says, do players like Martin receive prize money if they win? Well, the answer is yes. So, of course, he's already guaranteed for this round 2,500. That's doubled if he gets through to the next round, 5,000, all to the good for players not on the tour. The winner this
20.
year will take a record $250,000, 250,000 for the winner of this year's UK Championship.
Yeah, not only do the players receive the prize money as top-ups, they sort of indirectly receive the ranking points as well, because that 2,500 will be tallied against Martin's name for the season, and come the end of the season, if a player not on the tour playing as a top-up has earned a figure of money on his ranking or her ranking, that will count towards the 1 year list which World Snooker run alongside the ranking list itself. So for anyone outside the top 64 that's on the second year of the tour card, players can receive a tour card through that route as well if they finish in the top 4 of that. So similar to Daniel Wells this year, he's not on the tour but he's done really well so far, and I believe he's in one of those places to receive a tour card for next year at the moment. Obviously it all depends how the season unfolds and
25.
where positions are ended come the end of the season, but yeah, there's plenty to go for.
Martin O'Donnell, 25.
Wasn't ideally on that red, but anyway, didn't get too close to it. Qualifiers, whatever the tournament, they are always edgy because it's about being part of the final stages. Of course, everyone wants to get to York, lovely city, and of course, as we said, big prize money, big tournament.
1.
And I'm sure Tepchai would be one of those players, top 16, would not particularly hand-pick to draw if he were to get through.
Yeah, and he couldn't have hand-picked that positional shot much better than that either on the blue. Finished absolutely perfect. Didn't really
6.
know exactly where the cue ball was going to finish, clipping the red into the corner pocket, but he's in a great position now, and as you can see, the red
7.
below the pink does go, which opens up the other 2. So this is now a good chance for Tepchai, and really needs to just dial in now and focus on trying to clear these balls. He needs to get a foothold in the
13.
match, get his arm going.
14.
And we see here just how quick he is, and without going on and on about the shot times at the moment, he's 19 seconds, which for him actually is on the slow side. Martin O'Donnell 31.
20.
Yeah, I think as snooker players, I
21.
think we're all victim of it at times. We tend to overthink the most obvious situations, and this man at the table is someone that certainly does not do that. He sees the shot straight away and plays it. And 9 times out of 10 as players, you know, we've all got experience of playing the game.
28.
The first shot we see is often the right one, but we almost try and talk
29.
ourselves out of it at times. Look at what could potentially go wrong. There's a few players that don't do that. Tepchai is one of them. Gets down, gets on with it.
Certainly got on with this, hasn't he? And he needs, as you see, with a 34-point lead,
36.
red and black.
37.
So really no time at all. He's made good on this opening. And that is effectively frame ball. He'd like this red in as well, because it stops any playing on.
44. 45.
And in it goes. So we've got ourselves level out. It was very hard to make predictions about this match. I guess Tepchai would have been favourite, but not a certainty by any means. O'Donnell's tough to beat. But in this frame, in the end, Tepchai's just played his own game and it's worked a treat.
49. 51. 54.
Yeah, as I say, he was in the top 16. He played in the Masters during that COVID time at Milton Keynes. But he was
58.
up to 15 2 years ago. And then at the end of last season, he had to win a match in the World Qualifiers to keep his tour card. So it was a bit of a tumble down the list.
63.
As I say, it can go the other way as well. With a good run in a big tournament like this, it would do ranking the world of good, actually.
69.
Lovely little clearance, this. From Thailand's Tepchai Anu. Yeah, it's terrific stuff. 76. And he levels up at 1 each.
Foul.
Ah, well, actually, it was the cue ball went in.
7,
So 69, but either way, it was a lovely break. And as I say, he's levelled at 1 each. Now then, we've had another question, Stephen, you might be able to help with here. On Twitter, I'm going to say how is the handle. They said, when you miss a shot that's well within your capability, either through carelessness or lapse of concentration, do you have any recommendations on how not to beat yourself up too much to the point where it affects the following shots? Well, of course, a lot of players, professional players, struggle with that, don't they?
Yeah, I was going to say, you'll have to ask someone else that question. No, I think it's important to have perspective on the game, you know. Snooker's incredibly difficult, and it's easy to forget that at times, and the best of players can miss the easiest of shot, and that's just how it is. It's a very difficult game. I think one of the best players, obviously, in the world at that is Mark Selby. He's got an incredible temperament, can easily brush off a bad shot or a careless miss. I think it's just important to have perspective on it. You've missed it, it's gone. There's nothing you can do about it once it's happened. And just try and have that little bit more concentration the next time you go to the table, and just try and tell yourself to just focus that little bit harder and try not to make careless mistakes, and that's where the consistency in your game will come, and eventually you'll create those habits of not missing those easy shots.
Yeah, it is. It's a real test. I think Selby's absolutely the right man to earmark. He just doesn't seem to even notice almost when things have happened. It's great mental strength. Thank you for the question. You can say on Twitter, if you go to the World Snooker Tour Twitter handle, they've got a thread up so you can post directly under that if you've got any comments you want to make or questions. So it's @WeAreWST, and do get in contact. And indeed, let us know where you're watching from. Like people watching maybe in Thailand, watching Tepchaya. But wherever you are, let us know, say hello, and thank you for being with us as we follow the last 4 days here of qualifying for the UK Championship. Just while we wait for Martin O'Donnell, just the other scores right now, still in the early stages. Chang Bing-Yu and Si Jia-Wei. Now, Si Jia-Wei, actually, he was the amateur that beat Shaun Murphy last year that sparked that whole debate. It's 1-0 to Chang Bing-Yu there. Oliver Brown leads Mark King 1-0. Zhang Anda leads Dylan Emery 1-0. Yuan Si-jun leads John Astley 1-0. David Lilly leads David Grace 1-0. Zach Surety leads Elliot Slesser 1-0. And it's 1-0 to Leipei Fan against Fraser Patrick. So for all the talk about shot clocks and so on, this is actually the fastest match. There's a few people in watching as well. I'm sure there'll be a big crowd tonight for Jimmy White taking on the former UK champion. Well, they're both former UK champions, but Steve Maguire. It's a match to savour. Jimmy's not lost a frame yet. 2 6-0 wins over Victor Sarkis and Mitchell Mann. I think O'Donnell was sort of in control of the match in the very early stages for a frame and a half, but we saw that lovely 69 break. That's how quickly it can change when Tepchaya gets a chance.
Attempt at the red there from Martin, didn't really get close to it, but got second prize, a good cue ball. Tepchaya just trying to find the thin edge of that red.
Foul. Nimis. Martin O'Donnell 4.
Referee Tatiana Wollaston just replacing the cue ball there for Tepchaya to have another go at this one.
Marcel, as I said, Marcel Eckhart, referee last night in Bolton, pressed into action here on the marker's desk.
Wait.
There he is, look at that. What a trooper.
Yeah, half ball towards me.
Yeah.
Slightly different atmosphere here, it's got to be said, but you expect that. This is second qualifying round.
Thank you, Marcel.
It's not O'Sullivan v Trump, but it's every bit as important to these players, of course. Of course, it was in this tournament, not wishing to bring up unhappy memories, where Tepchaya missed the last black on a maximum. It was horrible for him.
Thank you.
In fact, he did it again in the World Qualifying, but he has subsequently made a couple in tournament play.
Yeah, I remember the maximum miss black against Neil Robertson, wasn't it? At the Barbican, and
Touch and ball.
I think every player's heart sinks when you see that. It's never known. You dread to think the emotions he would have been going through, but he's made some since, and he'll continue to make some. He's far too good not to.
It's interesting in snooker. People often remember the balls you miss, not the balls you pot. Now in this tournament, there'll be older snooker fans who will still remember Willie Thorne's miss blue against Steve Davis in the 1985 final when he was 13-8 up, and he lost 16-14. And obviously it was a massive, massive, not only moment in that match, but in his whole career really, because he looked certain to become UK champion. Quite going to reach, I don't think.
Foul. Nimis.
Yeah, even Steve
Tepchaya
Davis, the great Steve Davis, who won this title 6 times, people will still obviously remember the black he missed against Dennis Taylor in '85. Anyway, looks like Tepchaya's going on the attack here.
Yeah, a little bit careless from Martin, finishing short of pace. He had to be pretty spot on with that one, but he has left a red for Tepchire, and of course he'll be going for it.
1.
Nicely on the black as well, so there is a red at the bottom of the pack that will go into the left corner pocket, and he can use it as a way of opening the pack of reds. So he's just planning his route at the moment. So this is a good red to remove now. Pop this red, get on the black, and he's just coming around to look
8.
at that red at the bottom of the pack now, because he can pop that, screw off the pack, open the pack of reds up, for the black into the same pocket, and this red won't be covering the black. So thinking a couple of shots ahead.
9.
Just a touch short of pace there.
16.
Can use the pack here to go up for the blue or balk. And he's just lost the white a touch.
17.
And that red going over the middle is bad news for Tepchire.
Tepchire new. 17.
Had no option really other than to try and cover it, which he has done. It's disappointing not to continue the break. Ash Dawson has asked us, will Jimmy White be versus Steve Maguire be on YouTube tonight? You bet it will. Be here with us at 7:30. We'll have that for you.
Well, Nimis. Tepchire no 4.
So another misjudgment from Martin there, just was in a bit of trouble. Well, he's left a red for Tepchire, and this again opens the black up.
1.
It will be fascinating to see who comes through, and of course
8.
there are still some tickets available for York. Many sessions are sold out, including the opening afternoon and the whole of the final weekend, but there are other sessions still available starting from just £20. So you can go to all the information's on the World Snooker ticket page, wst.tv/tickets, and you can hopefully, if you're available next week, still snap up a few, because it's all big names. Remember, the top 16 guaranteed to be there, plus the 16 qualifiers. Also ticket information there for all the World Snooker Tour events. Well, in the end he lost his way again,
Tepchire new
so
8.
another scoring visit has ended. But I think Tepchire is very keen to keep the balls open, to keep things in play. He doesn't want scrappy frames, because you do feel they would favour his opponent. Never really been Tepchire in his game. John O'Brien asks, what are your thoughts on this year's change of format to match the World Championship? I mean, everyone will have a different view, I guess. The players, from my perspective, I think actually, in a way, the lower ranked players, some of them may prefer it, because you're not drawing Ronnie O'Sullivan round 1, you're not drawing Judd Trump round 1 in the last 1-2-8. Obviously, You have to win more matches to get to the final stages, but players are guaranteed prize money as well because of the tiered system. So that's one way of looking at it. Some people, I'm sure, would look at it the other way. Stephen, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't mind a tiered system. Like you say, it sort of allows players around their own level in the rankings to compete and come through. Because you can always feel hard done by, you know, first round, how it used to be. Number 1 plays 128, 2 127, so on. You're up against it straight away. At least this way, it allows players the opportunity to get their hand on the table, win a couple of matches potentially, nick a few quid. I think it's good for everyone.
Yeah, and I think an effort's been made to build up the UK Championship again. And I think there was a feeling that at York, obviously, they used 2 arenas. The second one was never particularly popular with players, it's got to be said. So now there's a sort of concentration on quality over quantity. Obviously, to qualify, you know that there's only 2 tables. You're going to be on TV guaranteed, which is good if you've got logos and so on. And for the television, BBC, guaranteed the top 16 as well.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. The tiered system almost takes away that surprise factor of the first round. You know, the big names. For example, last year, Sean Murphy losing to an incredibly talented amateur player, if you like. But like you say, he's not an amateur, but it creates a story and a buzz around the event. But on the flip side, at least now we know that we're going to have the world's best players at the Barbican, and 16 players that have thoroughly earned their place to compete there. So I don't think it takes anything away from the event.
Now Tepchaya lining up another long one, with already a useful lead in the frame, but not there this time. Well, if he's got away with this, he's been fortunate.
Yeah, and that's something that's usually so reliable, is long game. He'll never shy away from one, but they've just not been going in so far this morning. Tend to hear the back of the leather of the pocket being struck when Tepchaya lines up the long reds, but not quite finding them this morning so far.
Well, there is a red that does pop to this right corner.
1.
Thanks for everyone who's got in touch so far. Snooker fans, you know, obviously it's Monday morning, it's not prime time, but snooker fans will seek out the action any way they can. Maybe a few people watching at work on the sly. We salute you if you are. But O'Donnell will be disappointed with that
Martin
one.
O'Donnell, 1.
He's yet to really get into the sort of flow that Tepchaya is in. Tepchaya made that 69 in the last frame. It's been bits and pieces really from Martin O'Donnell.
And there was pressure on that pink, and I think he knew it. He threw his arm at, had it a touch, and there was a bit of movement on the delivery. But Tepchaya straight away up, knew the red was no way near. He doesn't look like a happy man at the moment. Looks like he's not quite fully in the zone and focused.
Yeah, so O'Donnell looking to strike back. Quite an industrious character, I think. He was once resident coach at the Royal Automobile Club in Piccadilly in London, where he would coach the members, and that's a very exclusive place. Not like your average snooker club, put it that way. So he did that for a few years, but obviously wanted to concentrate on his playing career. And he's recently, just in his private life, he
6.
moved house. His young lad, Charlie, started school, so he's had other things, of course, to deal with. But that Q Tour victory at the Castle Club, that's put him in good stead to potentially get back on the tour next year.
Yeah, they're good little events, those Q Tours.
7.
Gives the players a lot of match practice. Next one coming up in Stockholm in Sweden at the end of November, which is somewhere I believe we've never played snooker before. I suppose you'll probably know the facts more than I, Dave.
Well, no, outside of sort of Swedish tournaments, that would be a first, and that's another sign of the game sort of spread across Europe.
So just finished straight on the blue here, which is not really any use for him. The right shot's the pink. Just play a little cannon to the red next to it, if he wishes. Yeah, good shot.
Yeah, as I say, be looking now to just try and put something substantial together here. He made a few breaks against Ben Mertens the other day. It was a good win because Mertens is a very dangerous young player, new professional, hungry for success.
14. $19.
Just not quite found his cue ball control yet, Martin. He's chasing a few positional shots here, and sometimes that can catch you out eventually. Yeah, it has done.
Martin
Just
O'Donnell, 19.
Just asking himself too many questions at the minute, putting himself under a little bit of pressure by not getting through the white as well as he would like to.
Yeah, as you say, at the moment it's sort of bits and pieces. Not going to do much for his confidence. But worse still, of course, is when you leave a chance, although Tepchar's not taking it. So this could be an interesting moment now in the match, because that was... Saw O'Donnell sit down looking pretty miserable. This is what I was saying, you know, you've got to be ready. Put that disappointment. We had the correspondent who got in touch. How do you put the disappointment out of your mind? Well, he needs to be ready now to take this chance, because it's come along maybe unexpectedly straight away.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dave. That's a prime example there, if you're still listening. Martin clearly showing some emotion going back to his chair.
1.
And probably never expected Tepchai to miss that red, so straight away having to come back to the table and reset, refocus. He's got another opportunity now. There's not a lot in this frame, and it's a little bit awkward down this end of the table, but most importantly, Martin's at the table.
Looks like he's on the red and closest to the left corner. Well, he's going to need the long stuff for this black. If he's going to take it on. He had a bit of success last week, actually. He played in this new event, the 900, you may have been watching in the evenings, and he won his group there, so he'll be back for the final group, and the top prize there is £10,000, so that's something waiting in the wings, potentially a bit of a windfall pre-Christmas. And, okay, that's not a ranking event, but just success in something like that on television would have put him in a good mood coming here. He's taking the pink here. just wasn't ideal
Martin
on it.
O'Donnell,
And
5.
another chance goes begging.
Yeah, and he couldn't really play it at such a pace to leave the pink over the pocket, should he missed it, to cover the 2 reds. But that cue ball's not travelled far enough, and this is a little bit awkward for Tepchire. Not as easy as it probably looks on screen. Very close together, those reds, and Tepchire just working out if he can see enough of the red to pot it.
One.
He can, so back in. Another nice shot. Always had the red over the middle
8.
if the cannon went wrong, or the red down the rail. So again, playing the percentages, choosing to get the
9.
frame open straight away. And now barring the red down the rail, the table's at his mercy.
Yeah, he's fed off scraps to a degree. O'Donnell needs to try and just
16.
control that cue ball a bit better, because he's had chances. He's been running out of position, leaving himself with pots that he's been missing.
17.
So just checking the scoreboard there, knows that by potting this black, and if he can take a black off the final red, he'll be 36 in front with 35 on, so making sure that cue ball just travels far enough down the table. Again, just checking that
24.
scoreboard.
25.
Just checking he's done the maths, which he has done,
32.
but still wants this in. Stop any playing on. And then it goes. So,
33.
as I say, O'Donnell's had chances really in all 3 frames, but going to find himself trailing.
Forty. Forty-two. 45.
He made that 69 clearance. Well, it went in off the last black, would have been 76, but that was
49.
frame 2. It took a while to get to that stage, but similar frame really. When this chance came, he took it nicely.
$54. 60.
So as I say, O'Donnell will feel he needs to tighten up a bit. Tepchire finding his confidence.
67. Under frame.
67 then to follow the 69 in the previous frame. Tepchire new takes the lead, having lost the opening frame. He leads Martin O'Donnell here by 2 frames to 1. Remember, it's best of 11, and we've got 1 more to come before the mid-session interval. As we delve back into the tweets, thanks everyone for getting in touch. I knew Kelly Barker would be watching because she's a huge snooker fan. She says, I'm working an office on my own, so I'll be watching at work. That's the way to do it, isn't it? So hello Kelly, hope you're enjoying it. And we have one here from Sihan Tong. That's for you actually, Stephen. What matches does Stephen plan to participate in? Also, I'm watching from New Brunswick in Canada, so well, it'd be quite middle of the night there, I think, actually, so that's a great effort. But well, it's not so much what you plan to participate in, Stephen, I suppose it's what you can get into.
Yeah, that's it. Anything that comes available, I'll be there at the drop of a hat. Just waiting for call-ups for top-up events for the tour, but competing on the Challenge Tour, well, the Q Tour, as well as the English amateur events around the country, so yeah, I'll play in anything. Anywhere, any place, I'll have my cue out ready to go.
It's all elite players want, isn't it? Opportunities. And Martin O'Donnell, as I say, even winning that 900 last week was a big confidence boost
Brain
coming
full.
into this.
Martin O'Donnell to break.
So O'Donnell finds himself 2-1 down.
Interesting though, that question coming in from Canada, like you say, somewhere I'd love to visit and would definitely love to play snooker one day, as hopefully we can continue to grow the game and expand. It's becoming more and more global every year, and would love to come and visit Canada for a tournament or even just a trip, to be fair.
Anyone who wants to invite Stephen, get into contact. Meanwhile, it wasn't a good break-off, was it? And leaving one on straight away. I was saying he's looking to tighten up. He's actually done the opposite. He's left a pot on immediately.
Yeah, momentum's massive
6.
in these matches, and Tepchaya, like one of those players that does score so heavy and plays so quick,
7.
it can reel off frames in no time, and that'll be a worry of Martin's at the minute. He's had a couple of chances and failed to take them, and now Tepchaya back in with a chance to career into the pack of reds, but he's missed the blue.
Debchanu 7.
He's missed the blue. Now has he left anything easy for Martin?
Well, it's a classic case of, I mean, he played it very aggressively and was concentrating on the split, but just took his eye off the pot slightly. It's not quite happening at the moment, though, is it, for Martin O'Donnell? That was certainly a chance to not just get back in, but psychologically for Tepchaya to make him brood on his own mistake. Well, it's suddenly got a bit ragged.
That's definitely his downfall, Tepchaya, for all the stunning snooker that he can play, and we all know him to play. He does miss the odd ball, which really comes as a surprise. But Martin's got to capitalise on those mistakes. You feel it's only a matter of time before everything starts going in if he gets a chance, Tepchaya, so really important for Martin to just stamp his authority again and let Tepchaya know that he's involved in this match. That's a nice little safety shot he's played, acknowledged by Tepchaya. Screwing the cue ball back, purposely sending the red in and out of balk. Welded to that balk cushion, so bit of pressure on this shot.
Play finished last night. It's about 20-1. A long days for the officials as well, the referees, the tournament office staff. These qualifiers in the past have sort of gone by a little under the radar. It's great that we're able to bring them to you now, and you can follow the twists and turns. As I say, Judgment Day Wednesday and Thursday we'll have coverage from all 4 tables. We're jumping around them to try and follow the drama. But what you'll also see, some very high quality snooker. Marco Fu the other day had 3 centuries in a row in his victory over Bai Lang Ning. Obviously Marco's a great player, but it just shows you that even in the early stages of these qualifiers, you see a very high standard.
Yeah, and that's a good game I'm looking forward to later on this afternoon. I know for a fact that Oliver Lines is playing very well in practice, and he himself is just looking for that little run of wins at the minute, build his confidence again. He's playing very well, and as is Marco, so that'll be a fantastic match later on.
Yeah, we'll have that for you at 2:30 UK time. I think all the players are looking at, certainly the way the prize money is in this event, which of course is pegged to the rankings. This is one. If you have a good run in this tournament, it can get you in the World Grand Prix and the Players Series events, and really sort of transform. Forget the finances, actually the rankings as well really transform the whole season. So the other side of that is of course an early exit, and the opposite applies. So it's a big couple of weeks this, not just the main event but these qualifiers as well.
Possible shot to something here for Tepchire. This red to corner. Hit it much too thick.
Just to remind you, you can watch tables 1 to 4 on Discovery Plus. Whole of the UK Championship, including the final stages, are on Discovery Plus, and of course subscribers also able to watch other top sporting events, including tennis Grand Slams, the Australian Open, French Open, cycling Grand Tours, the Tour de France, the Giro d'Italia, and a host of other sports, all live and on demand. Head over to Discovery Plus for more details.
Again, Tepchire just looking at any glimpse of a pot, weighing up his options. He's so keen to go for a red. You can see him fighting himself to play safe. Oh, that's a nice safety. Made the right decision there for sure. Not really a lot Martin can do. Again, just try and contain the situation.
Just while we watch this, we've had a hot potato thrown our way. We're not going to duck the big issues here. We've had, of course, the final yesterday, Champion of Champions. What are your thoughts about Ronnie O'Sullivan not coming up to shake hands with Judd Trump after Judd's 147 in the final? But my view was it was a bit strange. I've never seen it before. Normally, you know, we remember the sort of bear hug that Cliff Thorburn had, and down from there, sort of shake of the hands. So I was surprised, I have to say. There's a lot of comment about it. I have to say Judd didn't seem that bothered. He was just celebrating his maximum.
One.
Top price here, by the way, for the break is 15,000. That applies in the qualifying and the main event.
Three.
So Martin back in again.
4.
The Reds are nicely spread down this end, but they're all covering one another. They're a little bit awkward, so he's just got to mind his work with his cue ball here and try and position it into areas that he can start to open this lower end of the table up. Pink, black and blue, clearly all in potable positions, so a few nice positional shots and he could be away here.
Six.
And again, looks like he might have just underrun that. Body language suggests he's not on the red. So again, another one bites the dust for Martin. He's shaking the head, clearly disappointed.
Martin O'Donnell, 6.
By the way, in the intervals, we'll be reminding ourselves of a few great UK Championship moments, so do stay with us in the interval because we'll be looking back in the first one at the first UK Championship, actually. 1977, Patsy Fagan victorious there. That started the Roll of Honour, which is one of the most exclusive in snooker. Originally, actually, the UK Championship, people might not know this, it wasn't a ranking event. It was actually a tournament just for players resident in the UK. So Patsy was Irish, but he lived in London. But then as snooker grew, 1984 it became a ranking tournament and became established pretty quickly as the second biggest, because in those days it had a 2-day final, so it did sort of quite closely resemble the World Championship. And many people will remember it played at Preston Guildhall. Now it's found its home in York as O'Donnell looks to get in, not quite on target. Just struggling to... I mean, he's had a lot of chances. If you've been with us from the start, I'm sure you'd agree. He's had a lot of chances, just struggling to really find his range and just sort of keep control. But he's still in the match. He's only 2-1. So Tepchaya, okay, he's made the break so far. But if Martin O'Donnell can win this frame, I think he'd be delighted with 2 each because he can play a lot better. His highest break, Martin O'Donnell, 39 so far. Tepchaya's had 69 and 67. The other side of that, of course, Tepchaya will feel he's played the best snooker so far, so he'll... Bit like, actually, this is like the final yesterday where O'Sullivan did make the better start. Trump had a chance for 2 each. Didn't quite make it 2 each, and then, of course, fell a long way behind, then 6-1. So, this frame, pre-interval, feels quite big, actually. Tepchaya, I think, 2 each would be quite disappointed.
Yeah, and these longer session matches allow for those sort of psychological blows throughout the games. Like you say, Tepchaya will be looking to take the momentum into the interval and hopefully extend afterwards. But if Martin was to nick this frame and go in 2 each, he will feel definitely the better of the two. And coming out after the interval, we might see a completely different player. He's struggled so far. He's not quite got a foothold and lost his white a couple of times. I wonder if he's just struggling with the pace of the table or just not quite getting through the white as well as he would like to be. But either way, he's going to have to do what he's known best for and really battle, grind it out and try and take something from this game. I've just had another comment on the social medias, again from Ash Dawson, asking if the Stephen Maguire and Jimmy White game will be shown live this evening. It will. That will be our live action on Table 1 across all our platforms, social media, Facebook, YouTube channels, Discovery Plus. Box office game this evening. Jimmy playing some great stuff. Good to see him enjoying his game and yet to drop a frame as well, so I'm sure Maguire will have clicked onto that.
The bad news for Jimmy is that this is basically Maguire's favourite tournament. You look at his record in it. He's been in 3 finals, he's won it. He's actually 3rd on the list of century break makers in the UK Championship, behind only O'Sullivan and Hendry. So, you know, this is a tournament traditionally he's done well in. Meanwhile, that's to come tonight, but Tepchire in a spot of bother here. Look where he is here with the red spread far and wide. And this is a key moment now, because O'Donnell is looking really for an easy starter to get his hand on the table and pot a few. Now, is this going to be the moment? Well, he's done about as well as he could there, I think. Seems to be out of the danger zone for the moment. David Lilly going well. He's 3-0 up on David Grace, who's a former semi-finalist in this UK Championship. And Zach Surety 3-0 up on Elliot Slesser.
Martin just trying to send this cue ball down behind the black again. Needs to find the right line. That looks pretty decent. Yeah, it's a good shot. Perfect pace as well, so I wonder if Tepchire will be tempted into this nasty little red to middle. He doesn't often refuse many. Choosing to play a safety shot. Acknowledged by Martin. Now, has he left the red next to the brown? I don't think so. It's very, very tight if he has.
Yeah, just a little standoff in what feels like a significant frame. They're all significant, of course, but with the interval coming up, got a little bit cagey. Should be said, by the way, you can come along if you're in the area and watch live here at Pons Forge. Tickets just £10 a day. See, of course, there's 8 tables, a lot of top players, former champions. Jimmy, we've mentioned, Maguire, Ding Junhui's here, and a lot of the new faces as well are on tour, so it's well worth coming in and watching these players suffer in the glare of the qualifying spotlight.
Yeah, particularly the Wednesday and Thursday of this week, the Judgment Day as we call it. It's a bit of a twitch fest out there. I know I was experienced similar at the World Championship Judgment Day, and it's a pressure I've not experienced before, so I'm sure as the spectators come through they tend to enjoy it a lot more than we probably do playing at times. But yeah, some fantastic players on display this week.
Traditionally, what's happened as well is you see other players sort of gather in the audience when they know there's a match going close and someone else is feeling it. Frame sort of has the feel of a decider, which of course it isn't. It's round 4 of a possible 11.
One.
Could have done without that kiss. So it's just turned into a bit of hard work, this 4th frame. Well, he's managed to cut the brown in. What a terrific shot. Yeah, again,
5.
could have finished friendlier for him.
Yeah, the balls are just running slightly awkward at the moment. Difficult to really take control of a break.
Six.
But they're still going in. He's got a shot at the blue here.
I mentioned the victory over Hendry last year, the 5 centuries. The next round, he played a certain Zhao Xingtong, and it went to a decider. In fact, Zhao won on the black, so it could have been very different for him. Of course, he went on to win the tournament, as we know, but that was a real tough match he had early on.
12. $19.
Well, things really opening
20.
up now. Tepchaya looking to build a 3-1 lead. Once again on the front foot here, trying to make things happen. Got to be said, it's not been the best of seasons so far for him. He lost second round British Open and Northern Ireland Open. First round in the European
25.
Masters. He has qualified for the Scottish Open, so he's got that to look forward to in Edinburgh shortly.
$26.
First things first, this is a huge event, and as I say, with the money and the points, a good run in this can only be to the good in terms of your world ranking. Still relatively early in the season, but that cut off the top 64, you know, that's going to be looming, and of course these days, even if you don't want to know what your position is, someone will tell
32.
you, because there's so many people keeping track of these things. I think 3-1 though, Stephen, is probably, if it is the score, it's probably about fair from what we've seen.
Yeah, I would say so. He's definitely scored the better of the two so
40.
far. We obviously expected that. Scores very well, does Tepchaya, when he gets in. And it's a little bit of a psychological blow, like I say, for that man in screen there. Martin O'Donnell just struggled to get anything going really so far in this game, and off the back of the win against Ben Mertens the other night, he might have taken some confidence going into this game, but yet to show it, so hopefully the interval can turn things around for him.
47. $48.
So Tepchaya has been pretty patient overall, and looks like he's got his reward in this frame. This blue be 54 in front with 51 remaining. So he clearly the happier of the two. He's found a bit of fluency here and there. This is his third half century.
53.
He's had to, as I say, be patient. It's not all been sort of dazzling stuff, but when he's had the chances, he has made
54.
certainly more of them than his opponent. Remember, the winner plays Ding Junhui. It'll be a big match tomorrow, if that is to be the matchup between Tepchaya and Ding.
$58.
And that removes any doubt
59.
at all about who's going to win this frame. So there'll be a 15-minute interval. Do stay with us. As I say, we will be entertaining you with a few UK Championship memories.
Tepchaya,
As
59.
Tepchaya
End of frame.
misses that one, but he's the happier of the
18
two,
minutes
clearly,
past 11.
as he goes to the
Tepchaya.
interval with a 3-1 lead. It's still
18
plenty of
minutes
time
past
for this to
11
turn around
upstairs.
because it's best of 11. But Martin O'Donnell, I think, will feel he'll need to tighten up and try and start scoring himself because Tepchaya in the balls is looking pretty good. He leads 3-1. We will be back in about 10 minutes' time to build up to the second half of the match. In the meantime, we're going to go back to the first ever UK Championship. It was 1977. It was Patsy Fagan against Doug Mountjoy.
Thank you.
Right now, 40. And still 4 it's there. Joy must be title slide away from him as Fagan here takes red
47.
colour, and there is a rather dejected Doug Mountjoy.
48. $54.
He's looking at the scoreboard, in fact. 54 points to 21, 33 points in front, and in fact 3 reds on, which means there's a possible 51 points on the table. Fagan here has joined the 147 club.
55.
He's made a maximum break of 147 and has throughout his brilliant amateur career made and compiled some 1,000 snooker centuries. Two rather difficult last reds. That's well done.
62.
Can he go out in a blaze of glory with a 100 break and the title, the £2,000 and the silver trophy that goes with it?
$63.
He now has to get position on this last difficult red. Wow. It was bad luck for Fagan, but he now leads, as you see, 63 points to 21, 42 points in front, and in fact only 35 points on the table. This last red, the black and all the colours. Doug Mountjoy, the Benson Hedges Masters champion, the runner-up in Pot Black this year, has to be content, I feel, certainly at the moment, with second place in the United Kingdom Professional Snooker Championship for 1977. Doug, who has been professional now for some 3 years, has had a brilliant run in his professional career. But the young men in snooker today must come forward, and surely we shall see a lot more of the 26-year-old Irishman, Patsy Fagan. Good snooker from Mountjoy there. Fagan, of course, will take good care not to leave a free ball if he misses the red. For a free ball could give extra points to Mountjoy. Now, as I say that, I am ridiculed completely. A complete change of fortune. 7 points away to start with and a free ball. It puts Mountjoy back into this frame. 63, 28. A difference of 35 points, and Mountjoy with a free ball, which means he can take any colour he likes. It'll count 1 point. He's then onto a colour and then back onto the red. No. Well, I'm sure the thoughts of Doug Mountjoy are at the moment unprintable. Where's the cue ball going? No, we're all right. Mountjoy here can still tie. He can take this red, the black, and all the colours. 35 points in it. 35 points on the table. Struggling to stay in the final. That is the final of the United Kingdom Professional Snooker Championship, being played here at the Tower Circus, Blackpool, for the first time in many, many years. And there is a very cool, calm and collected 26-year-old Irishman looking forward to another few moments when he hopes he will be able to pick up a cheque for £2,000 and the title of UK Professional Snooker Champion. Attempting the snooker. Mountjoy, of course, cannot afford to miss this red. Well, in fact, I didn't think he could see it, but obviously he could. He's left almost a Chinese snooker, that is, that Fagan has got to get right over the top of the blue. And there's a snooker. That's unlucky for Mountjoy. The reds caught the lip of the pocket and set the balls up for this young Irishman. to clean up, in fact. All balls nicely spaced on the table. This championship, sponsored by Super Crystal 8, makers of the world's billiard balls, offering a first prize of £2,000 to the winner, £1,400 to the runner-up. And it is the young Irishman Patsy Fagan who, on his way to this final, defeated his fellow countryman Jack Ray and then took care of the former world champion Fred Davis. He went on to defeat Jim Meadowcroft and then John Virgo to finally fight out this final against the Welshman Doug Mountjoy. That is not so clever.
17.
Not that Patsy Fagan is now worried. Leading 80 points to 28 and needing just this frame for the title. He is there. Plays a snooker. And in fact, Mountjoy has conceded, like the sportsman that Mountjoy is, the champion then for the United Kingdom. 1977 is the 26-year-old Irishman, Patsy Fagan, who now lives in London.
Winning of his first attempt.
Great sporting events make great stories. On Discovery Plus, watch Lycra Warriors battle.
It has been a blockbuster.
Hot shots fire.
The legend.
Sharpshooters strike.
Ronnie O'Sullivan is in seventh heaven.
And thrill seekers zoom. There's live sport for everyone on Discovery Plus.
Wasn't that great to see? The first ever UK Championship final. Patsy Fagan won it against Doug Mountjoy, as you just saw there. And hard to believe, that was 45 years ago. Since then, the UK Championship, now sponsored by Cazoo, has become one of the highlights of the snooker calendar. That's why we're here at the qualifiers doing commentary for the first time on these vitally important matches for so many players. David Hendon has left the commentary box to be replaced by yours truly, Phil Yates. Stephen Hallworth is still here, and Stephen will be our social media man for the next segment of this match, the final segment, as Tepchaya Anu and Martin O'Donnell resume after the interval with Anu leading by 3 frames to 1. Before they do start, it's the perfect opportunity to give you the latest scores on the other 7 tables here at Ponds Forge, which is just down the hill from the famed Crucible Theatre. Lei Pei Fan is 2-1 up on Fraser Patrick. Mark King has the same advantage over Oliver Brown. Actually, Brown has just made it 2 frames each. Yuan Sejun, fine young player from China, he leads John Astley by 3 frames to 1. David Lilly, former world seniors champion, he's also 3-1 up, in this case on David Grace. Zhang Gander, who had a very impressive win over Stephen Maguire recently in another qualifying competition, he's being held to 2-2 by a fine young player from Wales, who I believe has got a really big future, Dylan Emery. It's not going well for Elliot Slessor, though. Slessor finds himself 4-0 down to Zach Surety. And then finally, one other match to tell you about. It's an all-Chinese affair between Chang Bingyu and Si Jiahui. That is all square at 2 frames each. I was watching, actually, the second frame in that. And Chang missed a very simple blue, so he might well have been in front at this stage. But, as I say, it is all locked up at 2-2. It's the best of 11 frames because of the prestige of the UK Championship, lengthier matches. And so Tepchiranu is halfway to victory. Stephen, it's been an interesting start, and we're getting lots of reaction as well from people all around the world to this new commentary enterprise.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a good start. Martin will have been pretty disappointed, I think, there. He had a couple of chances, but unable to really get a foothold in the match. So Tepchire will be looking to extend his momentum now and see out this game. But no, a fantastic format for this event. And like you say, being able to bring you live commentary of all the action as it unfolds. It's very good for everyone listening at home. So hope you guys are all enjoying it as much as we are.
We will be bringing you a competition over the course of the next 6 sessions here, including this one. And I will give you the commentary question in frame 6, so watch out for that. The prize for the winner, which will be announced at some point today, maybe during the match itself, will be a signed UK Championship programme signed by many of the top players. As the day progresses, we'll also have competitions for tickets for the UK Championship, which takes place, of course, at the Barbican Centre in York from Saturday onwards. By the way, talking about the UK Championship, it is such a popular event that tickets go really, really quickly. Now, it's sold out for many sessions at York, including the opening afternoon on the 12th. The whole final weekend, semi-finals and finals, not a ticket to be had. But there are a limited amount of tickets for other sessions still available. As for the pre-sale of the 2023 UK Championship, well, tickets will be available from November the 18th. Register by 9 a.m. on the 17th to make sure you're in the priority window with the first chance to buy tickets. Head to wst.tv for details and just fill in the form to register. I think it's a great idea, don't you, Stephen, that fans these days are given the opportunity to buy tickets well in advance. It wasn't always the case, but in recent years it has been, and I think it's appreciated, and it's a win-win. It's good for the WST and it's good for the spectators concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. These big events, you know, you're going to have all the best players in the world, and you get the opportunity to see the other players that are coming through on the rankings, up the rankings as well. So yeah, really good that the pre-sale for tickets for next year's going ahead, and I would thoroughly encourage anyone that enjoys snooker as much as we do, or even if you want to get into it, get yourself booked in for these big tournaments, see some fantastic snooker, and hopefully a next generation of player can come through.
Well, by 2023, Stephen, you might have got your card back and be playing yourself.
I very much hope so, Phil. That is the aim of the game for me this season. Re-establish myself back on the main tour. As much as I enjoy being sat here with you guys commentating, I think I'd rather be out there battling it on the table.
I'm not insulted in any way. Okay, then the action has resumed. This really is a contrast in styles. I'm sure that David Hendon says the same thing. You got one of the quickest players in the game against one of the most pedestrian. I think it's really interesting to see who, over the course of the second half of this match, will dictate the pace. On more than 50% of the occasions, the slower player tends to dictate. But maybe from what I've seen thus far, it's the opposite in this one.
Yeah, Tepchire has not allowed Martin's shot selection to affect his rhythm or his... He's been going for his shots like we fully expected him to do. Started to find his scoring boots just a touch towards the end of that mini session there, so we're looking to continue that. As for Martin, he's going to have to find something. He needs to up a gear now if he's going to take anything from this game. This man at the table, incredibly fast and fluent. When he gets in, you can reel off frames in very quick time, so very impressive to watch at times as well. Don't forget, guys, any questions or comments you've got for us here in commentary. We've got a thread on Twitter going and on Facebook, so drop the comments on the thread and we'll try and answer them to the best of our ability. It's at WeAreWST on Twitter, or you can tweet myself direct at Stephen Hallworth, and we'll try and answer as many questions as possible.
Cue ball under the top cushion, never easy. That kind of shot, but Anu made it look so. I think that was one of the features of the event we've just come from, the Cazoo Champion of Champions. Some of the middle pocket potting was out of this world.
Yeah, we was just chatting off air, Phil, about the Patsy Fagan final we just watched at the interval there, and how generous the middle bags were back then, and I can assure you they're incredibly tight now, and particularly at the acute angles that players take pots onto now into the middle.
6.
It's very impressive how, like you say, the middle pocket pots that are going in these days, you've got to be so accurate to get them in, and as we've seen, Tepchai knock one in and create himself a little opportunity now. And that's a very nice shot, nicely controlled from underneath the side rail into
11.
the pack of reds. Flicked a few out. Can bring some more into play here as well if he wishes.
12.
There's something aesthetically pleasing about left-handers in any sport. Cricket, golf, tennis. Same applies with snooker. And Anu, when he's flowing, is a joy to watch. That one, though, not quite what he wanted. Severely hampered queuing. How about that for a recovery? Terrific. Yes, he's in the groove, isn't he? Before the interval, after losing a scrappy first frame, he made breaks of 69, 67 and 59.
Just got into that one a touch too much there, and needs a little recovery shot here to the corner. Yeah, didn't really get close to that either.
25.
So a little bit of a positional error from Tepchai there on the blue.
The way he played that red, the only red he could have left was the one he went for. For a moment I thought O'Donnell might have a path through to the red to balk, but that's not the case.
I think the disappointing thing for Martin so far is that he will probably feel like he's been heavily involved in this match, but yet the scoreline would suggest otherwise. He's had multiple chances, but like I said earlier, he's not quite managed to find his feet. His cue ball control's just been letting him down a touch, and he's been losing the white chasing position, and it can catch you out, particularly on these super fast tables and the pressure they're all experiencing out there. Just needs to try and settle himself down somehow and try and be a little bit more positive with his shot selection, get himself going and try and build those breaks again, because he's more than capable of doing that.
I think the mindset with O'Donnell is that when you're a full member of the tour, okay, this is a very big tournament, but you can always kid yourself and say, well, there's always next week. In his case, there isn't next week. He's 49th on the Q School top-up list, so he's not going to get in any events from that. So being here, that's his big chance.
Yeah, you're right, Phil. It's a massive opportunity for someone like Martin this season, being where he is on the Q School Order of Merit. You find it hard to see that he's going to get many more invites, and he's got into this event off the back of his great win at the Q Tour Event 2 in Brighton, and thoroughly deserves to be here. And it's just a shame that he's not quite managed to find the form that he found against Ben Mertens the other night. But there's still legs left in this game, and hopefully something can develop.
I know this has no bearing whatsoever on the result or on his ability, but he's such a nice guy, Martin O'Donnell. You can't help but pull for him. Now, had that red gone in with Anu's break building abilities, it might well have been 4-1. As was the case, he missed it by quite some way, caught a large segment of that far jaw.
One.
No sizable breaks from O'Donnell yet today.
8.
But in that first qualifying round against Ben Mertens, a terrific teenage talent from Belgium, he did score quite heavily.
9.
O'Donnell prevailed 6-4, making breaks of 90, 65, 53, 58 and a clinching 55.
So it shows when he gets in, he can hit the big numbers, and these Reds are in a fantastic
14.
position for him to do just that in this frame. This is a huge frame, really, in the context of the game now. It's Tepchire looking like he might run away with it if Martin doesn't stamp
15.
his foot on the match. So a couple of really important exchanges now for Martin. Reds are nicely situated, bar one.
Twenty-two. 23.
Yeah, we've got a good view of Martin's cue action there, and where he looks when he hits the shot, looks at the pocket throughout his feathering of the cue ball, just glances at the pocket he's potting the ball into. There's not many that do that.
28.
Famously, Stephen Hendry was one that definitely did.
29.
When these two met in the
31.
Ranking Championship League in 2021, it was a 2-all draw. That draw was achieved by O'Donnell in the fourth frame, making a 130 break.
32.
He has beaten Anu in the past, 5-4 in the first round of the China Open in 2017, from 4-3 down, so no stranger to a comeback there. But he also knows how good Tepchire Anu can be. They met in the first round of the German Masters in 2018. A new 153, assisted by a couple of centuries.
36. And
it just goes to show how fickle professional snooker can be, Stephen. You know, in October 2020, O'Donnell achieved his highest ever ranking. He got to number 32 on the world list. Things were looking so rosy, but since then, he's not just fallen down the rankings, he's fallen
40.
off the tour.
Yeah, myself and Dave briefly touched on that earlier, and like you say, the rankings now and the structure for each event, it can be so cutthroat as well as being super rewarding as well.
41.
You can get on a good spell of results and really fly up the rankings, and similarly you can get in a bit of a rut with your wins. They might not come as often as you would like, lose a bit of confidence, and you can soon fall down the rankings. And Martin was an example of that. Clearly a good enough player to be on the professional circuit, but the standard's so high now that there's only limited places. Michael
43.
White won as well. We said, you know, ranking event winner, been in the top 16, fell off the tour. He'll be in action as well this week. Back to playing somewhere near his best by the looks of it, so yeah, it just shows as players the sort of psychological
43.
blows you go through throughout your career. That some of us are still stood here playing.
And missing the penultimate red there was a blow for O'Donnell, who was looking good. Clever shot from Anu, liberating the pink. He knows 10 points behind, he needs the table open. The only problem, of course, is that the green has now gone slightly awkward.
This is not the easiest of safety shots either for Martin. He feel that he's going to have to play a containing shot. Playing it that way was always going to leave Tepchire a shot at this red near the green spot, and he would definitely be going for it.
Foul. Martin O'Donnell 6.
Well, with that, yes, the 6 points given away is an irritation. The most important thing wasn't to leave an easy opener for O'Donnell once the red was missed. Now, he has left a red, but it would never be described as easy.
Really awkward cue in from the jaws of the middle pocket. Important to just trust yourself on this shot, stay with your line and keep nice and still on the shot. Yeah, that's a good pot.
1.
And the bounce that was necessary has arrived. Natural angle off the black here, looking good to pull one back.
Eight. 9.
25 points to the good O'Donnell. That means this seemingly elementary pink is frame ball. At the moment, Anu, if he gets the chance, needs 1 4-point penalty snooker
15.
and all the colours to force a respotted black. So O'Donnell would like to see the back of this yellow.
Martin O'Donnell, 15.
The frame, Stephen, is still retrievable.
Yeah, and again, I think he played the wrong shot for me there. Tried to do too much with the cue ball. I think make sure of the yellow, because that green and brown's in a fantastic position now to try and lay a snooker. It's amazing how quickly things can turn around in this game if you don't take your chances or play the right shot. I find that the game can often come back to haunt you. Not a bad effort from Tepchire there, was just a roll away from nestling in behind the brown, but another chance for Martin to seal this frame. Not quite again. So the frame's still very much live.
Now the point is, even if O'Donnell does win the frame, which he's still heavy favourite to do, you don't want to be expending unnecessary mental energy, nervous energy in a situation like this.
Yeah, these longer format matches, it takes a lot out of you mentally. And you're right, it's energy that's being wasted now for the sake of just getting down and potting the yellow, really. Oh, he's got another chance at this yellow over distance. Well, knocking the green safe is very much in Martin's favour. It's a good target to try and get in behind, but not available now.
Useful, this. By no means a guaranteed hit. He will be so relieved, Stephen.
Yeah, the nervy moments when you find yourself in a snooker like that. Relatively simple escape for a player of Martin's class, but you're never quite convinced. So negotiated it well. And again, another chance now at this yellow.
Two.
Now, for want of a better technical term, his bridge arm was a little scrunched up there because of the black, so he did well to pop that. And if the green goes in as well, that's frame over.
5.
Desperately needed something like this, Martin O'Donnell, post-interval. I thought it was quite a sloppy shot from Anu when he missed the red to middle.
5 and a frame.
And he cost him. So, Martin O'Donnell looked in trouble at the interval. Now, prospects are a little brighter. Yes, Tepchara Anu still leads, but only by 3 frames to 2. As you know, this Cazoo UK Championship is part of the Triple Crown Series. The other 2 tournaments are the Masters and the World Championship, and there's a wonderful VIP experience available at both of them this season. We know about the luxury Century Club packages available at both the Masters and the World Championship. They include the finest food, drink, the best seats, and much more. And of course, at this time of the year, they supply fantastic Christmas presents for anyone who loves snooker. A snooker fan given a package like that, especially at the World Championship this year, which is going to be a completely new experience in terms of the way VIPs are looked after. Well, you couldn't wish for anything better on December the 25th.
No, you're right. That's a fantastic gift idea. If any of my family are listening at home, I wouldn't mind that for Christmas.
Frame 6. Martin O'Donnell to break.
Do remember, guys, to get in touch with our threads on social media. Any questions or comments you want to throw our way to answer during today's play, available over on the Facebook and Twitter at WeAreWST, or you can tweet me directly at Stephen Hallworth. I've had a question, Phil, from at 575Alex on Twitter, who says, with Mark Allen's current form, does he have the potential to be world champion this season?
Yes, I will say that. Obviously, form's important and confidence, but I think with him, he's got the temperament to be able to cope at the Crucible should he get into a semi-final or a final. Certain players are terrifically talented. Allen falls into that category, but he's also got that knack of being able to control himself under pressure. He also wins matches quite often easily because his cue ball control is so pinpoint. So yeah, I think he's got all the attributes to win a world title. Undoubtedly, I could easily see him doing so. The only problem for Allen is that
8.
plenty of other players fall into the same category. But certainly if he won one, it would not be a surprise to me.
No, you're absolutely right. I have to agree. And particularly everything that's sort of been highlighted in the media recently concerning Mark, and he seems to have just turned a corner. He played incredibly well at his home tournament in Northern Ireland, and obviously the one before that, the British Open, he had a good run to that event. So yeah, it'd be no surprise to see Mark Allen. He's a fantastic player and ambassador for the game.
Yeah, the other point I'll make is that over the years,
16.
if you just talk about the Crucible era, there have been more surprising winners in the past than Mark Allen would be So it's not unprecedented for someone like him to lift that trophy. Far from it.
17.
Meanwhile, Martin O'Donnell doing exactly what he needed to do, and that was secure that frame immediately after the interval. Get back into this game and show Tepchire that he is involved and he is ready for the scrap. And now in straight away with a chance in this 6th frame.
22.
While he's at the table, knocking these, so far, straightforward balls in, I will fulfill my promise of giving you the first competition question of the week. Remember, the prize is a signed
23.
UK Championship programme with all of the stars' autographs on there. So the question is, related to the UK Championship, who was the first player to win this terrific tournament, championship, on more than one occasion? Who was the first player to be a double UK champion? We'll give you the answer, and who has won the competition a little later. I will give you a clue. It wasn't me, and it wasn't Stephen Hallworth either.
28. $29.
So only one loose red now left for Martin, and gonna have to get into that pack of reds at some point. Looks like he's going to leave it to the last chance. Pot this red, get on the black, possibly screw into the pack.
By the way, if you want to enter that
34.
competition, you can do it in 2 ways. Email kazoocompetition@wst.tv or send in a tweet at WeAreWST. So it's either through Twitter
35.
at WeAreWST or email kazoocompetition@wst.tv. And one final thing on those
42.
competition entries. We'll have 3 competitions for you today, and the next 2 will involve ticket giveaways for this year's UK Championship.
$43.
At this rate, if you go to the Barbican Centre in York, amateurs caused a stir at last year's UK Championship. Why not this?
Yeah, he's still going, Martin. He's been a bit tentative with a few of his shot selections here. Had a chance to go into the pack of reds, get things open, but choosing to just pick them off, and he's only got 1 red left available just underneath the pink into the right middle. And again, just chasing it a touch and making it more difficult for himself.
48.
Could have got the reds open much sooner and given himself a better chance at winning this frame in 1 visit. So he's going to have to either play a really aggressive pot to middle or possibly a double and screw back for pink or black.
Martin O'Donnell, 48.
Really good start from Martin O'Donnell to the frame, and also having surrendered position. That was a really good safety. Had to catch those reds really thin. Not only that, he judged the weight of the cue ball to perfection. Anu snookered on all reds.
Touch and ball.
Our referee Tatiana Wollaston tells Martin O'Donnell it's touching ball, but that's not really an issue because he's got a red on.
1.
If you've been with us from the start of this match, you'll know that
8.
Martin O'Donnell plays his snooker in a rather considered way. So it's quite surprising his best ever ranking result was in the shootout semi-final in 2018.
Nine.
Yeah, you often find that actually, Phil, and it goes back to that debate of slow play and players perhaps playing a little bit quicker. We've seen it no end of times where players you would probably class as the more pedestrian on the tour that do really well in that event. Rod Lawler being one.
Green ball.
He's known for his sort of relaxed style of play and really likes to think about it, but then plays really well in the shootout. So I think players are able to play at a particular speed, whether they choose it. Not saying it's a good or a bad thing. Everyone's got their own style.
Martin O'Donnell, 9.
But it's always good to see how different players play and react in different styles of events.
Okay, so why is a player slow? It's because he's indecisive. Why is he indecisive? Because maybe he's not all that confident. And so, with the shot clock, it actually makes up a player's mind for him and frees him up, if you like. But I heard the discussion earlier on about whether there should be a shot clock in snooker, and my answer would be a definitive no. And I'll tell you why. Slow play is not a problem in the professional game. Certainly not when it's in front of the TV cameras. You might see the odd really slow match in a qualifier, but these days I think the game is played at a quicker clip than it's ever been played at. So why try and solve a problem that doesn't exist? Also, I think if you instituted the shot clock, because it would be alien, it would take players off and the standard would drop and the matches would end up being lengthier.
This red may pass through the gap of reds into the left corner pocket for Martin. Can play it as a shot to something really with... Well, it certainly goes when you flick it
1.
off the other red. Holds his hand up. Perfect on the pink as well.
A comfortable 3-1 lead for Tepchaya Anu at the interval
7.
is about to be erased.
Eight. 15. 16. 23.
He's done well here. The best frame he's played by a mile.
Yeah, very well. He's gradually starting to look like he's gaining a bit of confidence as well, which is good. He's starting to strike the cue ball that little bit better,
24.
getting through the white a lot more, getting the work and the reaction on the white, and this is good signs for Martin, because Petchai could have come out storming after the interval, but he's managed to contain him for now, and he's starting to find his form, so game on.
31. 32.
And this is a distinct era in professional snooker, because you've got so many players not on the tour who might well be on the tour. Some would say should be there. And obviously, Stephen, I'd include you in that category. Michael Holt's not there. Martin O'Donnell. Just shows how tough it is.
Martin O'Donnell, 37.
Yeah, the strength and depth is very good across the board now, including the amateur game. A lot of good players coming through. But that was an important frame for Martin. He takes that 6th frame to level the match at 3 each.
Yes, now, an important message here. If you are going to the Barbican at York for the UK Championship, please look out for the raffle that's run by the World Snooker Tour's official charity partner, the Jessie May Children's Hospice at Home. Now, you can win 2 tickets to the World Championship final if you enter that raffle. What a prize that is. But also, it's a really worthy cause. I know that it's a cause that's close to the heart of Barry Hearn, and quite rightly so. So if you're at the Barbican, don't forget, enter that raffle, which helps the Jessie May Children's Hospice at Home. Now, both players are out of the arena, so that gives me the opportunity to get you updated with all of the latest scores in this 8-table venue. Lei Pei Fan and Fraser Patrick are locked together at 2 frames each. Patrick defeated Ken Doherty, the 1997 world champion, in the previous round. It's 3-3 Mark King against Oliver Brown. Yuan Sejun is taking on John Astley, who beat Neil Robertson in the UK Championship last year. Well, not such good fortunes for the man from northeast England so far. Yuan Sejun leads by 4 frames to 1. As for David Lilly, he's 3-1 up on David Grace. They're now back from the interval, involved in frame 5. Zangander and Dylan Emery, that's 3-2 to the young Welshman. Zach Surety was going great guns against Elliot Slesser. It was 4-0 at the interval. It's now 5-1 to Surety, so he's 1 frame away from progress. And the last match to tell you about, Chang Bing-Yu and Si Zhao-Wei. Si has just taken a 3-2 lead. So this is the second qualifying round. Matches this afternoon, which begin at 2:30, will also be in this round. And then from 7:30, the 8 matches will see the start of qualifying round 3.
Yeah, plenty of action to look forward to today and throughout the rest of the week. Don't forget, you can head over to the Discovery Plus and select the table you wish to watch. Our live coverage will continue throughout the week on table 1. So Phil, I've had a trivia question for you on Twitter from Macca South. He's asked me, but I'll be honest, I've got absolutely no idea. So I'm going to ask the the man of stats. Do you know if anyone has ever made a 2-visit 147? For example, 64 break,
One.
miss, and then an 83 break.
It's the Welsh Open, I believe it was, where Ronnie O'Sullivan was on for a 147, broke down, and then John Higgins completed it
8.
and won the frame.
Did they split the high break prize? Was there a maximum prize for that one?
9.
Well, of course, 147 from Judd Trump in the Cazoo Champion of Champions final yesterday, and he received nothing for it, apart from a lot of kudos and gratification. And talking about receiving nothing for it, Anu plays a great shot there, goes into the bunch, top cushion first, and there's no reward whatsoever.
16.
Yeah, he's been desperately unlucky there, really. He couldn't have played that shot much better. It's always a little bit awkward, and you're always relying to a fraction of luck on that shot from the black, but he's opened the reds nicely, and like you say, no reward for it.
16.
Just on that topic of maximum breaks, Trump's was the 181st in pro competition. I reckon in a couple of years' time we'll be celebrating the 200th. Now, Tachira Anu's decline after the interval started when he missed a red to that same middle pocket by catching the far jaw. This time, O'Donnell is guilty of that. Could well be costly.
Yeah, and in missing the red, didn't find the line he wanted to with the cue ball, and Cannon in this red in the balk area has presented a real good chance now for Tepchire.
1.
Get the blue straight back on the spot. It's 5 or 6 reds in open play already.
Just starting out on a break.
6.
So I'll start telling you about the holy grail of breaks. We all call,
7.
and I'm as guilty as anyone else, a 147, a max. But really it's a 155. If you get a free ball with 15 reds on the table, pop that with a black, and then 15 reds, 15 blacks, and all the colours, that's the true max. I'm sure we'll see one at some point.
14.
Yes, and the man at the table, Tepchire, practices at the Darlington Academy.
15.
Follow them on social media, and I know for a fact that he's made a couple of 150 plus breaks recently in practice. Like I say, very heavy scorer. It'd be nice to see one in a competition one day again.
$22.
The break you perhaps won't see is the minimum,
23.
which would be 15 reds, 15 yellows and all the colours, 72. That would be highly unlikely unless someone was purposely trying to do it. And what's the point of that?
30. $31.
Anu came very close to making a 147 in this tournament, the UK Championship in 2015. Made 140. Heartbreakingly missed the final black.
38.
That was a delightful shot. I always think that's tough. You're cutting back into a semi-blind pocket. You're cueing diagonally off the side cushion. So easy to miss that.
Yeah, he hit that one nicely, and an indicator that he finished perfect on the blue. That he did hit it so well.
44.
Now 60 points in the lead. Couple of reds needed to make certain of this frame.
45.
Played a nice little shot again there. Topping through the cue ball onto the red just to flick it into open play. So with this black, looks to be a formality now to seal this frame for Tepchire.
52.
And this is when he's at his best, when he's in the balls and
53.
showing that fluency and that long swooping cue action he's got. Really gets through the white. Very aesthetically pleasing on the eye.
60. $61.
Yeah, break building is where he feels most comfortable and where he's most potent.
68. $69. $76. 77. 84. 85.
So one good shot here. Bring the red off the cushion. Hopefully see our first century of this game. Come on then.
92.
Let's get the double.
93.
Very nice.
Players like him who make the game look so easy. Sometimes they're accused of being too nonchalant. It's just the way they are.
99. 101.
He wants success badly. And he's taken this break very nicely.
104. 108.
And that'll be the worry in Martin's, back of Martin's mind. That red he took onto middle, he knows that he gives any sniff of an
130.
opportunity to this man. 9 times out of 10 he's going to do exactly this. And that's mop
119.
them up, which he's done so.
126 under frame.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. Trademark Tepchire. A 126 clearance, and with that, he regains the lead at 4-3. That means he's 2 frames away from victory. And a meeting in the third qualifying round, a mouth-watering meeting with Deng Junwei. Now, you know, one of the cliches in snooker, and there are plenty, is, oh, the rankings don't lie. But I think with Tepchire, they do. They're telling fibs. He's the world number 59. He's better than that. We all know it. As for the one-year list, well, he's 67th currently with all of the points added in. Now, the reason I'm mentioning that, it's important for the upcoming Player Series early next year. The World Grand Prix is in Cheltenham in January. The Players' Championship in Wolverhampton in February. And the Tour Championship heads to a brand new venue in Hull in March. They are all great events. 32 players off the one-year list go to the World Grand Prix. 16 go to Wolverhampton. 8, the Elite 8, go to the Tour Championship. Tickets for all of those tournaments,
Frame 8.
and I can highly recommend them, are on sale now.
So just had another message from David on Twitter. Not relating to this match in particular, but says, how long will this Mark Selby title drought go on for? Are we getting more and more worried with every tournament? Well, David, in a word, no. You don't win multiple world championships and ranking events like he's done
1
for nothing. That man is a serial winner, and it'll... There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, David, it's a really good question, actually. I'm with Stephen. I'm not worried in the slightest. It's a matter of time for me.
4.
The only thing which could be a factor is the man himself. Is he worried? Because he has immense pride in performance. And it has been a while now. The
5.
World Championship in early May 2021, his last trophy lift. But I'm sure it's only a matter of weeks, months away before he gets back in that winner's circle.
And again, Tepchaya going into the pack and getting no
12.
reward whatsoever. The Reds just aren't opening very nicely for him at the minute. Just not quite finding that biting point on the pack of Reds to really zip them open and get the Reds moving. So again, just having to play a safety shot.
Tepchaya 12.
There are 5-hour gaps between the matches here, 9:30, 2:30 and 7:30 local time in Sheffield, Yorkshire. Sometimes the matches spill over, but you always knew before this one began there wasn't going to be an issue in that regard. But there was an issue with that shot. History repeating itself. Red to that same right-hand middle pocket as we look. Again, Tepchaya caught it too thick as he did in frame 5, and now O'Donnell could be in.
One.
Yeah, a couple of important shots here for Martin just to again get his hand on the table and get the white moving. I always think the first few shots of a break are the most important as a player just finds his rhythm again.
6. Seven.
Now that sounded like a kick. Cue ball didn't react all that differently, but the sound certainly suggested it wasn't the best of contacts. Not happy, but really,
14.
that wasn't the most aggressive shot, was it? Non-committal.
Yeah, it wasn't very convincing. He was Obviously trying to hit the right side of the red as we looked at it to send the cue ball off to the right, leave himself on the red that he's virtually touching ball with now. So end of break again. So I've got another one for you here, Phil, and I think you're the right man for this question as someone involved in many sports, pool and golf. Do you think a Moscone/Ryder Cup style event would work in snooker? Something like Asia versus Europe or Europe versus the
Martin
rest of the
O'Donnell,
world?
14.
What do you think?
I think it would be absolutely tremendous. I'm actually commentating on the real Moscone Cup at the end of November, early December over in Las Vegas, and I can't wait for that. 2,500 people in for every session. Yeah, I think it would really work. You'd have to make it mean something. Put up a nice trophy, maybe the Joe Davis Trophy. How about that?
Yeah, and I suppose the selection for it, how would you go about selecting the lineups? So many good players around now. I think everyone would want to bite at the cherry for that one.
Well, how about 5 player teams, 3 off the rankings, 2 captains' picks to introduce some controversy, debate. I think, yeah, Europe versus Asia would work well. Thinking about it though, Europe versus rest of the world would be a stronger team because then you'd incorporate Neil Robertson. But rest of the world seems to me a little bit wishy-washy. You need, I think, continents colliding. How about Europe versus Asia and Oceania? That would cover the Neil Robertson base.
Another good pot to middle for Tepchaya. So back in again and a couple of loose reds. One directly above the black. Is a good one to get on. Possibly bring a few more into play as well.
8. 9. 16. 17.
One of the reasons he plays so quickly, well, he chooses to play that quickly. But one thing that really helps the speed, he takes no time at all to line up shots. Down,
20.
in they go.
Yeah, he's incredibly gifted. Tepchai is so
21.
natural. He just floats around the table, can drop on the line of the shot, no problem whatsoever, and got a great snooker brain. He sees the shots very quickly, although he's not seeing that one very well.
Tepchanu, 21.
Just when you least expect it.
Trace of reverse side has just thrown the pot, I can only presume. Just didn't quite account for it, and that's a really poor miss, and he'll be very disappointed with that. If Martin can make something of this opportunity, this could become a big frame. They're the sort of shots that stick in your mind and hard to remove.
You know, all last week at the Cazoo Champion of Champions, I spent a lot of time in and out of the box with the 7 times world champion Stephen Hendry. And his constant message is, it's not the brilliant pots you knock in, it's the easy ones you miss. They're the ones that make the difference. The easy balls that go astray, the mistakes you commit.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right in saying that, particularly at top level sport. Across the board, it's such fine margins, and it is the mistakes that you make, the easy ones, the careless ones. They're the ones that hurt the most and very difficult to get out of your head, and that's why the top players are there at the top of the game, because, well, for one, they make less mistakes than everyone else, and two, they're able to brush off their mistakes if they do make them. So
16.
Important for Martin to capitalise now. He might be smelling blood. Tepchire missing a shot
17.
he would never miss. Really needs to stamp his authority again.
$24. $25.
You might say, well, why does Tepchire Nu look under pressure? Because he does. There's no getting away from that. Well, clearly it's his world ranking, which is much lower than it should be. But specifically for the UK Championship, I think it's the way the ranking points have been apportioned.
32.
Now, he's been seeded into qualifying round 2. If he loses this match, he receives no ranking points, quite rightly. But if he wins this match, he's guaranteed at least 5,000. That, Stephen, is a big step
33.
up.
It is, it's massive, and it's now obviously the same as the World Championships. Players go in as seeds for those events and are on the money for that particular round, but never guaranteed the ranking points unless they win that match that they've been seeded into. So it brings about a different sort of pressure for the seeds. Obviously they're ranked and there for a reason, but the players coming through, again, it's almost like they've got nothing to lose. The pressure's all on the seed. Underdog sort of scenario.
Well, I was just going to say that could have been one of the best kisses you'll ever see, but the yellow might be in the way. No real clue from O'Donnell with his body language.
No, he looks as if he just held his hand up to say sorry, but it's hard to tell from them. There's the overhead. It looks very, very tight indeed. If he can get through, like you say, that's a flick from the gods. And he can get through and try to bring the red out as well.
Martin O'Donnell,
So
40.
That could have been a massive, massive turning point in this game. Could have potted that red, brought the other red off the cushion and stayed on the blue.
Again, a little loose, one has to say. O'Donnell is 21 points ahead. That means he will need both reds, so that's in favour of Nu, where the red is under the cushion.
One.
He would love to bring this red out because where it is, it's not best place for a left-hander. But didn't have the angle to do so had to drop in behind it.
3.
Hence the need for the rest.
Yeah, it was probably a ball's roll away from being perfect on that yellow to bring the red out. So big shot now. 24-point lead. Red makes it 25, so he's going to need another colour. Never easy down the rail these when you're going to have to play it with a little bit of pace. Yeah, and it was never
Martin
in.
O'Donnell, 3.
Where the balls are, this frame is wide open. O'Donnell with a 24-point advantage would love to see a couple of colours. Really awkward. As it is, they're all sitting pretty.
Yeah, he's got to stay positive, Martin. Has to go for this, for me. It's a chance to win this frame. Good pot. And he's on
1.
the pink.
No call for heroics. But the angle was there anyway to go up for the yellow. And now it looks like being all square again.
7. Nine.
I've been impressed with Martin O'Donnell. Yes, he's missed a few, but the intensity is burning. He really wants to make a mark here.
12.
Yeah, and you feel the longer this game goes on, the more that he's building his own momentum and confidence, and he's starting to hit the ball a little bit nicer than he was at the start of the match. So it's absolutely
60.
anyone's game now. Chai has missed a couple of balls that he should never have missed, and Martin's done what he's had to do and kept it tight at times and
21.
taken his chances.
$27. $34 in the frame.
It's a
Martin
clash of styles, and as yet, nothing definitive. The way things are going, it's 4-4 for the third time. They are level. It was 1-1, it was 3-3, and now this match, which started out as the best of 11 frames, has effectively been reduced to a best of 3. And just on that, I can tell you, we've had our first result of the day. Yuan Sejun, fine prospect from China, in my opinion, has beaten John Astley by 6 frames to 1, and Yuan finished off with a century break. Other scores: Lei Pei Fan 3-2 up on Fraser Patrick. Mark King, vastly experienced, he's 4-3 up on Oliver Brown, and Brown needs snookers in the 8th frame. David Lilly began well against David Grace, led 3-0, now though it's 3-2. Zhang Gander and Dylan Emery. Zhang leads 4-3 and by 41 points to 0 in the 8th frame. Zach Surety still 5-1 up on Elliot Slesser, 1 red left in the 7th frame. Could go either way.
Frame 9. Tap chair, neuter break.
And Si Xiaowei leads Chang Bingyu 4-2. By the way, if you're just joining us, we do have a competition for you. Enter at Cazoo competition at wst.tv or send in a tweet at WeAreWST, at WeAreWST. The question is, the UK Championship began in 1977. Who was the first double winner of this prestigious title? Who was the first double UK champion? We'll give you the answer to the question, and indeed who has won the competition, which is for a signed UK Championship programme featuring all of the names of the top players. We'll let you know who's won that shortly.
One.
Good opening red from Martin. Nicely on a bought colour as well. Couple of loose reds. Like I say, Phil, this has become a best of 3 now. And there'll be pressure building out there in the arena. Plenty at stake.
Three. Four.
Just one quick footnote on the Yuan Sejun 6-1 victory I just told you about over John Astley. Well, Yuan goes into the third qualifying round to take on the reigning Welsh Open champion, Joe Perry. And I think Perry's got his hands full there.
12.
Yuan finished off with 132 total clearance.
Again, an awkward pack
19.
for Martin, but he's going to have to go into them. Just coming round, have a little look. No plants to middle or anything, so pop this red. Leave an angle on the black if he can. There is a one loose red available. Got a couple of options. Could screw into the pack and try and drag that red at the bottom back out with it.
20.
Or play off the side with plenty of pace. So let's see what he's going to choose to do here. Yeah, so screwing into them, dragging that red back. He's played that really well. Plenty of acceleration through the cue ball. Get some nice reaction on the white. Dragging it through the pack of reds. Brought multiple into play now, so
28.
he's looking good, Martin. He's started to find his form. He's letting his arm go a bit more as well, playing positive shots. These are good signs for him.
$33. $34.
We've talked about the ranking point and prize money implications for the winner. How about this? The winner goes through to a very high-profile clash tomorrow against Ding Junhui. That's an incentive in itself.
Martin O'Donnell, 34.
But just when you thought O'Donnell might be getting on top, it's been the story of the middle pocket, and more specifically to the far jaw.
Yeah, you're right. There's been a few missed to the middles. And again, they always can catch you out. Oh, I didn't expect Martin to miss that pink. Chance for Tepchai to possibly redeem himself after that costly miss black in the previous frame.
8. 9. 16. 17.
No middle pocket inaccuracy there. But again, not a great amount of angle on the black. And only one red in the open. Floated that round really nicely. But he needs to stop the cue ball on a sixpence here.
25.
Unless that red right at the top of the 5 pots to top left. If it does, a whole different scenario. Clearly it does.
Yeah, this red pots and is going to open up a few more for Tepchai, so
33.
Really good chance now if you can finish nice on one of the reds again. Yeah, he's hit that one nicely too. It's easy to sometimes flick a little bit of
40.
help inside onto that white and cannon the pink in that situation, so he's played that one well.
41.
Running through, flicking the other into play.
$48. 49.
To be quite frank, there are certain players who are infuriating because they're so good
56.
and you think they should do a lot better. Jack Lazowski is a prime example of that. We all love Jack. He's a wonderful talent. Still waiting for his first ranking title. Another in that group, the man at the table.
64.
When he's playing well, he's world class.
65.
Yeah, he's disgustingly good at times. He hits the ball as well as anyone. Used to be based here in Sheffield at the Star Academy, and I used to practice a lot with him, and God, I've taken some hammerings over the years from this boy. He can definitely play.
72. 74. 77.
That's the thing, though. He's not really a boy, is he? He's 37 now, so not exactly an up-and-comer.
81.
His potential is limitless, but so, I'm afraid, is Tepchaya's inconsistency.
86. $92. 99 in a frame. Tepchaya.
Excellent stuff. 99 from Tepchaya Anu, and he regains the lead. I think the scoreline is a fair reflection of the way things have gone so far. Anu, marginally the better player, although it has been in fits and bursts. Tepchaya Anu 5, Martin O'Donnell 4. Anu needs one more frame to go through. Now in the weeks ahead, Tepchaya will be involved in a couple of home nations events before Christmas. The Scottish Open, he plays Chang Bing-yu in the first round of the Scottish. As for the English Open, down at the Brentwood Centre in Essex, a little later on in December, he plays Stuart Bingham. That's a very attractive match, isn't it? Now, the reason I'm talking about the home nations, yes, the Northern Ireland Open has already been played, but we've got the Scottish, the English and the Welsh Opens coming up over the next few months, all heading to brand new venues in Edinburgh. I've talked about Brentwood, and Llandudno for the Welsh Open. Well, tickets for those events, and it's a real bargain. They start at just £10, and if you go to the opening day of those tournaments, all of the big names will be involved. Now Sam from World Snooker has just come in and given me the competition winner. The question was, who was the first double winner of the UK Championship? It was the great Steve Davis. And we've received a great answer from, drumroll, Danny Mullen from Ballymena in County Antrim, Mark Allen country. And so Danny, you will be receiving a signed UK Championship programme. And I'll make sure Mark Allen is one of the names on there.
Just had a little message and an interesting one from Lula on Twitter. Nice to hear from you, Lula. Hope you're well. She says, hi from Berlin, Germany. I have a question for Steve. Would you say that there is enough awareness and support around snooker for people who are experiencing or going through tough times like Selby or yourself with depression and or anxiety or addiction? It's a tough one. I would say there is the support. The WPBSA and World Snooker Tour, they work with various agencies and charities to offer support for players. But I think, talking from my own experience, the key factor for me really was acknowledging that I was struggling and
Frame 10.
bringing it to light
Martin
in my own
O'Donnell to
mind
break.
to then be able to open up and discuss my issues with people and get the support I needed. I think there is support in place, but until an individual is able to break that horrible barrier sometimes and realise they need to speak out, I know it's cliche, but it's so important to do so. There is the support there if players need it.
Yes, and I also think that the current chairman of the WPBSA, Jason Ferguson, is very sensitive and sensible in that regard. He's done some very good things.
Yeah, and like most individual sports, I think, you know, there probably isn't one player on the tour that's not going to experience dark days at times. You know, you're out there playing on your own, you're fighting for your livelihood and fighting for your next meal on the table and your bills and your family and everything else that comes with it, and it can be mentally draining at times. And a lot of people see these guys and myself, you know, playing big arenas and winning matches and like the top players, but forget the hard hours you put in behind the scenes in the dark room. It's easy to get into a place where you're really struggling, so like I say, it's important for first and foremost any individual to acknowledge they're struggling. There's no shame in that, try and seek support, whether it be from family, friends, or even a stranger. If there's help out there, you'll be able to get it.
4. Five.
Of course, the message there came from Lula in Berlin, which is one of the great snooker cities now with the German Masters. The Tempodrome, well, I think in many respects it's out on its own
10.
in terms of atmosphere. 2,500 people there for the final weekend.
Yeah, an incredible venue, and I was lucky enough to qualify a few years ago when I actually met Lula out there and took my dad with me. A fantastic venue, never experienced anything like it. And actually played the man himself, Mark Selby,
11.
out in front of a packed arena. And yeah, we'll not talk about the result of that one. He certainly showed me a lesson or two then. But Martin looking good again now. Straight away getting into the pack of reds off the blue, opening things up, black tied up. Pink's going to be only available into 2 pockets at the moment.
17.
A little bit of work to do, but he's at the table.
$18. 23.
Arms crossed, perhaps fearing the worst. The worst in this case would be involvement in a decider. And no professional snooker player relishes those. If you think about it, from what I was saying about their head-to-head information before,
30.
you could make the argument these have played 2 deciders in the past, and O'Donnell has prevailed both times. One was
30.
the last frame of a Championship League match, in which he salvaged a 2-all draw with a 130 break in the last frame. The other one, first round of the China Open in 2017, O'Donnell won 5-4 from 4-3 down. Hope you're enjoying the snooker and our commentary. If you're watching this on the World Snooker Facebook or YouTube page,
37.
feel free to leave a comment there as well if you want to.
$38. 44.
So just chipping away at these reds now, slowly building that lead. Try and force a decider out of this game.
45.
Martin won't be too bothered that the black's tied up now. keep that as a little bit of insurance for himself. Happy to just pick away at the reds.
$51.
Another result for you, Mark King, who turned professional, I believe, in 1991, 31 years ago.
52.
Former Northern Ireland Open champion. He's beaten Oliver Brown 6-3.
$57.
King's next opponent will be Ben Wollaston, the husband of our referee, Tatiana.
$58. $64.
So a couple of pots away now, Martin, from taking us to a decider. I think you have to say, on reflection from both players' performances so
65.
far, it's been a mixed bag really of high scoring and some bad misses from both. So probably a decider would be a fair outcome.
Yeah, when it comes to scoring, the vast majority of it has been done by Tepchai and Nu. This is O'Donnell's first half century. In contrast, Nu has made breaks of 69,
71.
67, 59, 126 and 99. Now, before the start of the match, it was talked about as snooker's version of the tortoise and the hare, and it could end up with the same result in terms of breaks.
Goes to show though, high break only wins you
78.
one frame. And as we see, Tepchai has made 5 really big breaks,
79.
which have won him the 5 frames he have, but Martin's stuck in there, dug deep, and he's going to get his reward of a decider now.
$85. $86.
And let's hope he makes a century, because this has been a fine effort. Superb. If O'Sullivan or Trump or anyone like that had played that shot, he would have brought the house down.
92.
Yeah, nicely struck from Martin. Now a good chance for the century. Oh, he's missed
Martin
the red.
O'Donnell,
Wouldn't
92.
believe it.
And a frame.
What a shame. That deserved 3 figures. But the most important figure for Martin O'Donnell, he's got to 5 frames. And he's level again with Tepchai and Nu. It all comes down to a single frame shootout. It started out as best of 11. Now it is bite your nails time. This UK Championship always produces drama, it produces great stories. And so, follow the World Snooker Tour throughout the Cazoo UK Championship on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. Match clips, interviews, behind the scenes content and much more. And also go to WST and sign up for their newsletter, which gives you the latest news from the tour, plus special offers and priority ticket windows. The traditional pre-decider handshake, even while Tatiana is still putting the balls on the table.
Thank you. Deciding frame, top chair, neutral break.
What a massive frame for both.
Yeah, big frame, and with all the ranking points and everything on offer, it's a must-win for Tepchire, you have to say. He'll be walking away with nothing should he lose it from this event. Obviously he'll get the prize money, but the ranking points will mean more to him at this stage of the season. Martin needs to remain positive. He's gone for his shots in the last few frames and they've been going in. It'd be a shame to see him go into his shell now. Always a fine line though with a decider. You're never really confident enough to push the boat out at times. And that safety shot has gone a bit astray. First chance for Tepchire.
One.
Played the drag shot, tried to hold the cue ball a little more than he did. Clearly the black isn't available, but the pink is. I think the problem with that red, Stephen, he caught it too thin.
Yeah, playing it over distance with drag like he did, you've got to hit it perfect to stay true to its line, and of course the nap of the cloth, and if the table's not absolutely perfect, can influence that as well. But he had a shot at the pink and he's just managed to drop it in.
One thing you will have noticed if you watched the Champion of Champions last week, and that particular shot as well, it's not like a normal club table. The conditions in pro events, there's no pulling down to the near jaw when you play a pink slowly like that across the nap. They pretty much stay bang on line.
7. Eight. Thank you.
Undercooked the cue ball.
Little delicate shot required here, just play a cannon to the red just above it. Hold the cue ball. Just scraped its feet again. Fully trust your alignment on that shot, and he did so.
16. $23. $24.
Just forcing the positional side there, trying to nick a bit of the pocket, come up for the blue. So another good shot required to navigate this cue ball in and out of the balk area. Yeah, that looks good.
29.
Well, it's just pulled up a touch and looks to be awkward queuing now for Tepchaya, so this just needs a little bit of care and attention.
30.
You know, it might not come to pass, but the cruelest aspect of a decider is sometimes a player can work so hard to take a match its full distance and then not going to sniff when it matters most. Will that be the fate of Martin
37.
O'Donnell?
Yeah, it's always a tough one to take. I experienced similar in the British Open last month. Got to a decider with
38.
Robbie Williams, knocked a really good long red in. Never looked like missing. 134. Thanks for coming.
You know, in the commentary box we're supposed to be impartial, but over the last few years we've got to know you so well, Stephen, that myself and David were really leading the cheering section there, silently of course. But well done to Robbie, it was a fine break. And by the way, well done to Robbie Williams in this tournament. He beat Fergal O'Brien yesterday 6-2, and that was worth 2 rounds because he had a walkover in the qualifying round 3 over the suspended Liang Wenbo. So Robbie Williams into the final qualifying round already. On Wednesday night he'll take
44.
on either Asjad Iqbal or Hossein Vafai.
And a good chance now, Tepchaya, to get these reds open. And I'm sure Martin will be fearing the worst now, seeing that pink go in and those reds open as they have. He's put up a good fight, Martin. He's missed a couple which will have disappointed him, but he's not let it get to him, and he's dug in there. Tepchaya's taken these well so far, and he'll be
50.
looking to convert this chance into a frame and match-winning contribution.
51.
Tatiana Wollaston replaced the pink efficiently there, but I was just a little concerned, given that he's such a rhythm player, that it might have broken his momentum, having to wait around for that shot, but clearly it wasn't the case.
56. $57.
Getting ever closer to booking that third qualifying round meeting with Ding tomorrow afternoon. And I believe there's a very good chance that's going to be on the commentary table.
64. $65.
Again, just seeing that cue ball jumper touch on contact. There's been a couple of heavy contacts today. It didn't affect the positional side too much. Still finished right side of the blue.
70.
70 in front, 67 on. That was frame ball, the blue. And now
71.
Martin O'Donnell's stubborn, stoic, hard work has come to nothing.
$78. 79.
He's not been at his brilliant best, Tepchaya, today, but what he has done is, when he has had the opportunity, he's scored really heavily. The match sheet will confirm
84.
that. He looks very dangerous, as we expected from him
85.
when he gets in the balls. And again, he's not really looked like missing throughout this break. He just floats around the table, gets on with it. And that's job done for him. Now can we
92.
finish on a century?
Tepchaya, no, 92 frame.
No century, but What a way to finish off for Tepchire Anu. Stephen Hallworth was bang on the mark there. At times he made mistakes when he shouldn't have.
Thank you, Marcel.
But under the gun, when it mattered most, he produced. Tepchire Anu defeats Martin O'Donnell 6-5 and progresses to the third round of the Cazoo UK Championship qualifiers. Of course, the main event is going to be in York next week. And what a treat that promises to be on Discovery Plus.
Golden Dagen. Aware nig heviel thuthat. Heviel thuthat. The Hetty Ulfric.
Great sporting events make great stories. On Discovery Plus, watch Lycra Warriors battle.
It has been a blockbuster.
Hot shots fire.
The legend.
Sharpshooters strike.
Ronnie O'Sullivan is in seventh heaven.
And thrill seekers zoom. There's live sport for everyone on Discovery Plus.